Fans across the country have been lined up, some of them eagerly awaiting the release of this new Star Wars movie, The Force Awakens. But for some, Star Wars is so much more than just a movie. Maria Villarreal has more.
It's a big fat caterpillar.
Jennifer Landa is a California-based wife and mother who loves to play with her daughter. But start talking about Star Wars and it's like The Force Awakens.
I think when I was younger, it was definitely more of a secret, but now it's okay to be a geek. It's actually a good thing, so I wear my fandom proudly.
There's her artwork, her costume collection, and just look at her wedding photos.
So we did it a little bit more subtly.
You say subtle, but I've seen your pictures.
This is true. That was the one thing where I always dreamed of walking in just like the movie Darth Vader with stormtroopers at my side. It was awesome.
Near San Francisco, 70-year-old Steve Sansweet runs Rancho Obi-Wan, a nonprofit museum that, according to the Guinness Book of World Records, holds the largest Star Wars collection at 500,000 items that date back to the first movie in 1977.
The politics were so dark in America, the Vietnam War, the impeachment of Richard Nixon, the movies were dark, and here came something really fresh.
Every year until 2020, a new Star Wars movie is set to be released.
I think it is safe to say that Star Wars is forever.
Keeping fans like Sansweet and Landa collecting, creating, and longing for more.
Feels good, right? It kind of does. Yeah.
Mireya Villarreal, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Drew Harwell is a national business reporter for The Washington Post. He's been covering the Star Wars mania. There's a reason for all the mania if you're a business person. We're looking at now record-breaking pre-sales. You're looking at expected to pull in more than $200 million this weekend alone, potentially topping what was the record of $208 million for Jurassic World earlier this year. Give me a sense of how much money is at stake.
I mean, a ton of money. You know, with the theaters, they know that this is one of the biggest movie premieres that's going to be happening this year, maybe all time. So for them, it's really huge. And when a movie goes to theater, the studio and the theater sort of split the money. In this case, Disney knows how big a blockbuster Star Wars is going to be, so they're asking for more money than pretty much any studio has ever asked for. So they're asking for, you know, more than 60%, maybe well north of 60%, when usually they ask closer to 50%. So that's a big amount of money that is going straight to Disney and not staying in the studio profits. And they could really use that money in this winter when there have been some movies that have sort of fizzled out.
Is it normal for movie theaters to have to negotiate what they're going to give the studio for every film?
It is pretty normal, and it depends on the movie. If it's something smaller, then the cut will, you know, be more on the theater side. If it's a tent pole like a Hunger Games or a Harry Potter movie, the studio is going to ask for more. But Disney knows it's got all the leverage in the world. It's got Star Wars. It's got one of the biggest, most lucrative franchises in the world. So it knows it can sort of flex its muscles a little bit, and they have. And so the theaters all across the country are having to sort of do a few extra things at the concession stand or with retail they're selling before people get in the theaters to sort of make up that dividend, because they know so much money is going to go to the big mouse and not stay in their pockets.
Okay, so like what? If they're not going to make as much money on individual ticket sales, what are the theaters themselves doing to rake in the extra cash on Star Wars?
Yeah, so you end up seeing things like, you know, Star Wars themed cocktails and brunches. There's a Yoda Rita that looks like Yoda with the ears made out of lime wedges and tequila. You know, you've got Tusken Raider quesadillas and all this sort of, you know, Star Wars branding, and that accomplishes a few things for them. One, it's that they know the huge Star Wars fans are going to go, and they're going to get it because it's fun and they're at the theater already. And two is that, you know, theaters make a ton of money on concessions. There are things that they can make for relatively low money and can sell with a high upside, and all that money stays with them. They don't have to give any of that back to Disney. So you're going to see a lot of that stuff when you go to the theater this weekend or in the coming weeks, and that's going to be a really important part of making the theaters make as much money out of this as they want.
Good to see you. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks.